Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Music is My Mantra. Today I have a very special guest, Allison Davis, or Allison McCune Davis, if you
Mhm.
are following her on social media at all. Allison is an author, traditional naturopath, and mom of five who has pursued entrepreneurial business in the world of natural health for at least the last 14 years while raising her family. She has a brand new book out. It's called 60 is a Good Start, a powerful body, a purposeful life, and a plan to make it happen. She advocates for reimagining life after 60 and inspires women to embrace aging as a time of opportunity, vitality, and purpose. Allison, thank you so much for being here today and joining me. Welcome to the show.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
It's so great to have you here because, I've been wanting to have a variety of guests, and I know you've got lots of great experience and stories to tell. And I think that your message is super positive. And even if you're not over 60, it's still something that really can be powerful for any age.
It really is. I just happen to be.
Awesome. Well, so tell us a little bit about how you got started in natural wellness and what that looked like for you.
Well, I lived in LA for about 8 years. I was a TV producer out there before I got married and had kids.
Cool.
And while I was out there, I lived in an apartment and I this acquaintance that was living nearby in next door actually. One day I was telling her about this issue I was having and it was like a
Mm,
recurring thing and it was irritating. And she
mm,
said, "Oh, you have to go to my traditional or my TCM doctor." I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Traditional Chinese medicine doctor." And my father was a surgeon, so I grew up in a very medical family, which
yeah.
really most of America is. So maybe
Yeah.
not too different from most people, but I thought, oh, my dad would flip, but yeah, let's do it. And
Why
he was
not?
hard to get into. Like I had to wait 6 weeks, I remember. And then he did muscle testing and asked me all kinds of, good questions about my habits and everything. And ultimately, he gave me herbs. I don't
Mhm.
remember which ones
Yeah.
and told me to stop eating dairy, eating or drinking any dairy.
Yeah.
And he said, you need to stop for a year. You may
Wow.
be able to add it back in after that, which
Yeah.
I actually was able to,
Mm.
but definitely get off for a year. And it's never come back. So, that
Wow.
was kind of my first introduction to not needing a prescription or an over-the-counter something, from the drugstore
Yeah.
and like that natural substances could help our bodies heal, which they're designed to do. We just have to
Yeah.
get out of the way sometimes.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So then I eventually moved back to, I live in Oklahoma now, which is where I grew up.
Cool.
And I met my husband and we decided to move here and get married and have kids. So
Hmm.
that was like 5 years later. And then after I'd had my first three kids, so I had like five, three, and one.
Wow.
And at that point, I started later than most, but at that point I was 43
Mm.
and my body just kind of crashed because,
Mm.
having babies takes a lot out of you, first of all.
Yeah.
If you're just, you know, living like most Americans with that drive-through, fast food, just not paying attention to what we're eating,
Yeah.
then it's going to be worse. So
Mm.
it really was. I was getting sick like every 6 weeks after my third child was born.
Yeah. Okay.
I just, was sick all the time.
Mm.
And I was just like, I've got to figure this out. And I was already, going down that natural path. So I found a naturopath who I've been going to the same guy ever since. And, we just realized I didn't have enough good bacteria in my gut, too much bad bacteria in my gut. It was not balanced.
Mm.
And my adrenals were shot, as he said,
Mm.
which can happen with childbirth. Thyroid was off kilter and
Yeah.
so all these things. So we just started doing, again with herbs and diet and all of
Mm.
that, and just little by little got healthy. Energy was my driving motivation because I had these three little kids,
Yeah.
and I needed to feel good to
Yeah.
the
To be
job.
there for them. Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever do acupuncture or was it mostly like herbs and lifestyle changes?
I have done acupuncture, I think maybe twice. never really was for me. I
Mhm.
know a lot of people love it. I've got friends that love it. But, I just kind of did other things, herbs and, muscle testing. I definitely go to the chiropractor.
Mm.
I do. Have you heard of raindrop therapy?
No.
It's like you go to get a massage, but
Hmm.
it's using these very specific essential oils.
Oh,
And they're very antibacterial, antiviral, I
sounds
like high
nice.
potency. There's like 8 different ones.
Mm.
And it's partially reflexology on the bottom of your feet, on
Oh.
the spinal points.
Hmm.
And then when you turn over on your stomach and it's focused on your spine. Because that's kind of where
Wow.
viruses will hide and go dormant, before maybe if your immune system is low, then they'll
Mm.
kind of reappear. But so I get one of those every month. And
Wow.
I really feel like it keeps my immune system. It's just one more thing. It's
Yeah.
supplements and, all the stuff.
Cool. That sounds really interesting. I'm gonna have to look
Oh,
more
it's
into that.
great. It's
Yeah.
definitely wonderful.
When did you know in that process when you came back to traditional, was it, I don't know if it was also traditional Chinese medicine or just,
No, no, I wouldn't say that. He was a
okay.
naturopath doctor.
Okay. How long was it that you were working with him before you started to see results or a difference?
Not
Yeah.
long. And no. And now I've got my own naturopath certification, different from a doctor, because when I say doctor, I mean he's went to 4 years of medical school.
Yeah.
And so I have a naturopath certification, and what I've learned and taught, always tell people is you need to try something for 3 months. A lot of times you'll see a difference in a few weeks.
Yeah.
For instance, I take a supplement. I've been
Hmm.
taking it for probably at least 10 years
Mm.
for joint health.
Okay.
So if I don't take it, and I have stopped taking it just to see, do I really need this,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I stop taking it, about 10 days later, my joints in my hands and feet will kind of just start to hurt and ache and stuff. And then I start taking it again, and about a week or two later, they're all great.
Wow.
So different things are gonna it's just gonna be different. And figuring our health out, it's a puzzle. It's a real
Mm.
puzzle that we each individually, you know, work on.
Yeah.
And it can
Yeah.
take a while.
What has been the biggest thing that you found to be encouraging to you while you were on this journey of figuring out what worked for you?
I think having good people to talk to,
Mm.
probably, I think that's why I loved it. It was about 14 years ago that I got involved in the world of Young Living. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
company, about like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I've been with
Essential
them
oils.
yeah, for 14. Well, so I'm surprised you haven't heard of raindrop therapy because it's really
Oh,
in that
okay.
raindrop
Makes sense.
technique, they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But once I got involved with that, the lady that kind of was my mentor was a naturopath.
Mm.
And we would get together. So this is started 14 years ago. We would get together at a coffee shop every week. It's just girls' night out,
That's awesome.
and we would just talk about natural health issues.
Mm.
And in the beginning, she was really teaching a lot of us. And then just the more we all read and learned and studied, and
Yeah.
there were classes you could go to online or not, but just having that group of friends
Mm.
that were really all thinking about and talking about the same things,
Yeah.
and these were all moms too. So I homeschooled
Mm.
my kids for about 20 years, and
Oh, that's so cool.
we would get together and all the moms are pretty much talking about those subjects,
Yeah.
getting the chemicals out of our house and cleaning with better, thing, because that goes right through your skin and into your bloodstream.
Totally. Totally.
So I think that is huge. And it's so funny. So then I started teaching classes about 10 years ago, and people would come, and we would promote it on Facebook. It's
Hmm.
also kind of word of mouth, I think. And people would come and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys were here, in our
Oh,
town. We're like, yeah,
yeah.
we're the underground.
Well,
It's
it is
pretty
pretty
funny.
radical, right? To this idea that we need to eat healthy or that we need to
Yeah.
use like non-toxic things because that's not what is being advertised to us day to day in the
No,
mainstream
it's
or
not.
even just the culture, the work culture that we have in America
Hmm.
is such
Hmm.
a hustle, high stress, high performance, awarding type of culture. So
Yes.
that's really cool to hear that you guys
Yeah.
formed
It's
that group.
shockingly better today though
Mm.
than 10 years ago. Like it nobody was talking about it in public.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's pretty interesting how it's become a little more mainstream. Not enough,
yeah.
but it's getting there, I guess.
What do you think are some of the bigger issues that really that you maybe you see often when people are first starting to consider like eating clean or working with non-toxic
Well, I
foods?
think what comes to mind is
Yeah.
people get overwhelmed at first.
Yeah.
No, they people will come to our class like for the first time and we're just talking about so many things. I mean,
Hmm.
non-toxic living, what's in your bathroom, your laundry room, under your kitchen sink, but also your health, how
Yeah.
supplements and how are you eating and you really have to give yourself some grace in that area and just I mean, baby steps is probably my favorite phrase,
Mm.
just little by little, keep going back wherever you're learning what you're learning. Just little, take one thing at a time,
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's got a different issue.
Mm.
It just depends. I mean, if you're talking about women that are, let's say over 50, you know, strength training,
Mm.
eating enough protein are probably two of the big things they need to be doing. Maybe that's new to them.
Mm.
So, but if you wanted to bring like just some of the body work, I call it, down
Yeah.
to a couple of points for women over 50,
Sure.
those would be like 2 points.
Yeah.
Start lifting weights 2 or 3 times a week because we got to have the muscle. They say muscle is the organ of longevity,
Mm.
but also we have to have enough protein. And it's hard to eat a lot of protein, I think, for some people.
Yeah, especially if you don't eat a whole lot to start. I mean, I
I
don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
I think of
Yeah.
my mom and she eats like a bird, you know?
Yeah. Right. I know. I'm like, if I ate as much protein as they tell me I should eat, I don't know. I'd be eating all day
Yeah.
and a ton of food.
Like supplements, like do you have a favorite protein powder that you like to
Yeah, I use a lot of the young living supplements. There's a
Cool.
few that I use that are not young living, but the majority of them are. I like their pure protein powder. It's got 25 grams. It's like a mix of 5 different kinds of proteins, so I
Mm.
think that's really good. I was just looking at the label on that the other day. I've been using it for years, but I think that's a good one. I love their Ningxia Red, that super antioxidant drink. I've been
Okay.
drinking that for 14 years.
Oh,
It's
wow.
one of the side benefits is eyesight,
Mm.
and I'm going to be 65. And the only time I wear glasses, every now and then I'll wear some really like the number one readers
Hmm.
if I'm looking at something super small or if I'm needle pointing. But otherwise, I don't
That's
wear
fair.
glasses. So
That's awesome.
I attribute it to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I use quite a few of their supplements.
It sounds like, when you go through having kids and your body is changing and stuff, that's obviously a natural time to check back in, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and I know that there's a lot of changes happening, not just post birth, but the psychologically adding another member to your family and stuff.
Hmm.
What are some other, I mean, tell me about a time or other moments. Maybe it's probably personal for everyone, but as we age, like what are some other key moments in our life that we should really be checking back in,
Doing
staying
the right
healthy?
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly having kids, get perimenopause, which
Mm,
is, what is perimenopause? Well, it's everybody sort of says something different, but it's
mm,
probably 35 and up to when you hit menopause, which could be 45, 50, 55. And then that menopause period can last for about 5 years, or maybe something, more or less, something like
yeah,
that. But your hormones are always just kind of in flux.
yeah.
So looking at it from that hormone perspective, as we age, as we
Mhm.
change, it's always good to be just aware of that, to be checking in on that. I listened to a speech recently that, gosh, it was so good. One of my favorite people, she's a doctor, and it was actually at the Young Living Conference this year.
Okay, cool.
Dr. Edie Wadsworth. Have you ever heard of her?
I don't think I
She's a
have.
family physician, but now she just teaches, natural health because
Cool.
she saw the light. And she was talking about hormones, at
Mm,
any stage, but she was talking about what disrupts our hormones.
mm,
And the top thing was insulin, and our blood sugar. Like,
mm.
what's our blood sugar doing, right?
Yeah,
Is it up and down and like a roller coaster? And so I thought that was really interesting,
that
to
is interesting.
pay attention to. And, we've got so many people with diabetes and
Hmm.
pre-diabetes, and, you can check that with a blood test. But
Just a lot of sugar and
oh,
everything.
yeah, in
Everything.
everything,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
I know I like to cook my own food, and I had some advice given to me at one point, like you should always make your own food because that's the only way that you know what ingredients are
it's
being put in
true.
there, and you're the only one that knows really what you like and what your body
Hmm.
needs,
Hmm.
and that helped me enjoy it even a little bit more, because I
Yeah,
used to think it was just like a saving money
right,
technique.
right, right, right.
So,
Yeah. Well, I like to think of the people in the blue zones. Have you
mm,
heard of the blue zones?
I have, yeah, but
Yeah.
for our audience listening,
Yes, the
yeah.
blue zones are the 5 areas in the world where there's the biggest conglomeration of centenarians, 100-year-olds living
Mm,
healthy, relatively healthy lives,
yeah.
not in nursing homes or anything like that. And then so they've studied them for like the last 25 years. What did these 5 locations have in common? But one of the biggest things, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this lately,
Mm,
was the social aspect of it. And it was a lot of it surrounded dinner,
mm.
so they're of course all cooking their food at home. They're not going out there. I don't think
And
they have any around there. I don't know.
it's probably like
But
commute
yeah,
eating.
going to their friend's
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
It is several hours every night
Mm,
social gathering, all aspects of it, the prepping of it, the
yeah.
cooking of it, the sitting around the table for however long afterwards, and that is a huge part of their life. And so when I think about that, I don't know, that makes me want to cook at home.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't really like to cook, honestly. And I feel like I have maybe some PTSD from having to, cook for a family of 7 for the last several
Yeah.
decades. And
Give the
so
woman
now
a
I'm like,
break.
I'm done. But no, I'm really not because, we want to eat healthy.
Yeah.
So,
Do you host a lot of friends over, or you have your community group, which I definitely want to touch on here, but
yes, yes. Sometimes we do. We go back and forth. It's funny, as I was a TV producer, in my before kids life.
yeah, the
And
early.
yeah, my early life. And so I always loved having a big dinner party.
Mm,
Like,
yeah, so
as my
fun.
husband jokes around, like everything has to be a production.
I can relate to
Yeah.
that.
So if I'm going to have people over, I really like to do it, set a beautiful table,
Mm,
do the whole thing. So honestly, with all, having 5 kids, it's been rarer than it was probably when I was single or when we were, just maybe had 1 or 2 kids. I can see that kind of coming back into our life more
yeah,
often.
okay. That sounds like so fun and like joyful chaos.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Do your kids now practice healthy eating and that sort of have they learned?
I think they have. I think, you teach your kids what you teach them, and then they're going to go off and do their own thing.
Yeah.
And, you have to change how you talk to your adult kids. You don't want to just tell them what to do at
Yeah.
that point. They're going to make the, and, if they
They don't
want
want to be
to,
told what to do,
they don't want to be told
probably.
what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I was always talking about this kind of thing. So they probably,
Mm.
on one hand, were sick of it. But on the other hand, they've got their Instagram feeds and they're seeing all that healthy stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they really do. I'll tell you one of the best things I did raising our kids was we got rid of TV. I mean, we
Mm.
have TV, but we just like have streaming services. So
Yeah.
but we did that 20 years ago. So we didn't have cable or anything. And whenever we would go to the hotels, if we were traveling,
Hmm.
that was when we'd see what was on cable TV. And so all we could all agree on was the Food Network.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
amazing.
so my kids kind of grew up knowing all the Food Network stars. And those were like the people they thought were the movie stars. I
Yeah, that's a
mean,
good.
not seriously. I mean, they knew other people too, of course, but I think they all learned that they wanted to cook and they learned how to cook. So that was pretty great because it looked
That's
fun,
awesome. Yeah.
Cutthroat Kitchen or all those fun shows.
Yeah. Caked or on
Right,
it.
cakes, yeah. My oldest is a real baker, then my
Oh,
second one's
nice.
a real cook.
They should be throwing the dinner party for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, that second one has done our last two Thanksgivings. I've been
Oh,
her
that's
sous
awesome.
chef. Yeah,
That's so
she's
cool.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
That sounds like they definitely have learned from you, I'm sure.
I think so.
I want to go back to perimenopause because I feel
Hmm.
like that's something that it doesn't like in my mind. So I'm 36.
Hmm.
I am definitely in that window, and I feel
Uh-huh.
like I take pretty good care of myself and definitely try to be aware of what I'm eating and that sort of thing. And I do
Yeah.
yoga and walking and all of that. But can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I feel like as women, I think we're prepared to have this second to go through menopause. Like maybe we're not prepared for it, but we know what it is. But perimenopause is really, I don't really know anything about
Well,
that.
like, they'll talk the typical things symptoms that they'll talk about are, weight gain, mood swings, brain fog, fatigue, just kind of these general but
Mm,
specific, I mean, symptoms. And I think one of the best things a person can do is do you have a naturopath doctor? A naturopath, functional health, or integrative. Those are the key words that these doctors will have
yeah.
because those people are going to do tests
Hmm.
and look at lab reports in a different way. They're
Hmm.
going to ask for different things on the tests,
Hmm.
different things in blood work. And so I always think that people should, that's a really great way to start is to find a doctor like that,
Yeah.
find a recommendation or just somebody near you and they'll do a detailed history unlike any regular doctor ever
Hmm.
does. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how they do this,
And they're testing hormones and that sort of
And
thing.
yes,
Yeah.
you can do saliva tests for hormones. You'll do a neurohormone test, dopamine, serotonin.
Mm.
Those neurohormones, those are really important to do. I mean,
Yeah.
depression can be part of the
Hmm.
perimenopause too, I think. And that's where you can see. And there's just some supplements that can just really quickly, easily from Amazon, basically.
Yeah.
You get the good brand, but that can solve a lot of those problems. Can do a poop test, going to tell you about your gut health. That's not going to happen very often in a regular
Yeah.
doctor. I can
Yeah.
even get, a hair follicle to tell you about any
Mm.
heavy metal that you might be dealing with in your body. So
Interesting.
again, everybody's different, but I think that's a fantastic place to start. You're
Yeah.
just not going to get that kind of testing done at a regular doctor's office. I
Yeah.
love doc. I love the doctors. Love my dad. He was an amazing
Yeah.
surgeon, but this is just the truth of it.
Yeah. Well, what is it? They say that, Western medicine cures the symptoms, whereas like
Yeah,
functional or
it doesn't get to
traditional,
the
it's
root
more,
cause.
yeah.
That's the goal is to get, that's what they're going to be much more focused on is the root cause.
Yeah.
And the terrain of your body
Mm.
versus germs.
Mm.
Western medicine is really concerned about germs, whereas natural medicine is thinking about the terrain of your body. How is
Hmm.
the health of your immune system so it can fight off?
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's probably just different for everyone, and so it's
It
just one of those
is.
things
That's the
where,
thing.
yeah,
It is
we need to.
the more we go into it, the more you hear people say it is just so individual. And, everybody's going to go have those tests and they're going to look different.
Yeah.
So one thing for you, but I would say, I'll tell you just on the basic, level of energy, like we all
Hmm.
want to have the energy. Well, the basic B vitamins are
Yeah,
really important to be taking pretty much for everybody. So
that's a
I'm
good place
all,
to start.
yeah, that's a good place to start.
Well, I actually did. I don't know if I shared this in our intro call, but I mentioned this on the last episode, it just came up in a different way. But in college, I had a lot of burnout. I was having headaches and just pushing myself to the limit and, drinking way too much coffee. My body was
Mhm.
completely out of whack. And I went to several different therapists. I had like CAT scans and all these tests done, and they were like, nothing's wrong with you. And I finally went to a functional doctor. I'm not exactly sure what his title was, but he also did hypnotherapy. And so he helped my nervous system to relax through the
Yes.
hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
And he also
You
gave me
probably had
supplements.
cortisol through the roof.
Oh, it
That's
was
that
bad.
stress hormone.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did some stuff for my gut and I did like a candida
Yeah.
cleanse
Hmm.
and yep, had to quit the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, that really it changed everything for me, because I was like, I know that something's wrong with me and everyone
Yeah.
was applauding how much I was working and hustling and
Oh, I know. I
Western
remember those
medicine.
days.
Yeah,
Yes.
they said nothing's wrong with me.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
like, but there is obviously.
Yeah. 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 Well, I'm glad you got that fixed. I quit drinking coffee when I was 35.
Mm,
And no, I was like 32, I think. And then I got onto decaf, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years later.
yeah.
And now I drink half calf. That's just in the last year or maybe couple of years.
Okay.
But it's a really good coffee and it's got
Yeah.
minerals in it. So far, I'm good. So you never know.
I honestly think the quality of coffee makes a big difference.
Yes, I do
And
too.
it's because, well, I'm not an expert by any means, but I've heard that there can be mold on coffee if
Right.
it's not
Yes, for
sourced
sure.
proper.
Mhm.
And I can immediately tell the difference between like Folgers kind of thing and
Oh
like the
yeah, that's
fancy
like the worst.
boutique thing down the street. Yeah, it's like
Right, right.
it just like will give me an instant headache
Mhm.
versus no jitters at all, like
Hmm.
that's the difference
Hmm.
now. So I kind of like go on and off of coffee, but
Yeah, and that,
yeah.
your nervous system being hyped up like it was, that, stress. And
Yeah.
that's just where I was that same way. Oh gosh, I
Mm,
remember being, started work in the production, TV
yeah.
production
That's a
world. And
very stressful
oh,
world
yes,
to work in.
it was very intense and all hours of the night, day after
Yeah.
day, day, and just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you can do those things for a little while and then you can't.
Yeah. Is
Then
that
it all catches up.
so when you left production, is that when you stopped coffee?
No, I was still, well, what was I doing? I was at ABC when I stopped the coffee.
Wow.
I remember I was dating this guy who had a sailboat. And so I lived in LA. So we're out in the ocean,
Uh-huh.
sailing. And he had talked about how, we really needed to practice. And I'd never sailed. He was a very experienced
Mm.
sailor. I was new to the whole thing.
Yeah.
He had talked about how we should do some man overboard drills, like just in case,
Oh my gosh.
He had mentioned it a number of times. I was like, yeah, probably, And I was like, oh, this sounds awful.
Yeah.
And so one day I had not had my coffee
Oh
yet,
no.
and we were sailing, and he threw a cushion, over like that floats.
Yeah.
And he's like, man overboard. And I was so mad because I hadn't had my coffee and he was expecting me to like take the boat and turn it around and get it
Oh
to where we could
gosh.
get this cushion back.
Did
And I remember just thinking, not having that coffee, coffee was controlling me, like
mm,
basically is what I was
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Because that was really why I was so
Because
mad.
you're like, forget the cushion.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
let the cushion die. And that just made me think, I don't want to be controlled by something like that, like by a substance.
Yeah, I
So,
totally can relate to that.
yeah, so I got rid of it.
Nice. That takes some real self-awareness.
Yeah, and now they say, if you are drinking coffee, don't drink it first thing in the morning. Like
Mhm.
let an hour or two go by and then have it. That is what I do. It's probably an hour later that I
Yeah.
drink some coffee. Again, it's half caffeine, it's real healthy, but it's taken me a long time to figure that out, to find
Yeah.
something really good. And
I've been delaying it also just because like I'll like to get up and go to yoga or something. By the time I'm back, then I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm a little more awake and it's not that instant like
Right. It's what's waking
craziness.
you up. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want that. Yeah.
And
Sounds like
cool.
you're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Doing my best.
Oh, y'all.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, one thing that has helped me, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but community, come back to community, right? So
Yes.
building this podcast,
Huge.
even connecting with people like
Hmm.
yourself
Yeah.
and my music community. I've got my yoga friends, my church friends, my spiritual friends,
Yes, that's fantastic. It's huge.
that's really, it's,
I'll tell you
yeah.
what, it's just so weird lately. I've really been noticing, and this is kind of more for like my age people, but
Mhm.
friends that are probably in their early 50s and older. Multiple friends recently have been just talking about their need for community,
Mm,
and it's just different as we age. I mean, some people live alone, and some people maybe they're divorced or widowed, or all the
mm.
kids have grown and they're gone, and
Yeah, different
or whatever
stages.
other reasons, many reasons. But
Hmm.
even married and but still needing that female community,
Yeah,
that really good friend
that
community where you just
sisterhood.
kind of talk about anything, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so important. So it sounds like you've really got that going. That's great. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's taken a while. It's a constant cultivation
It does. It does.
and I think like even online, I have friends that I've met through online groups
Hmm.
and I know you have an online community that you've started as well.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
So
It's
tell us a little bit about that.
okay. Well, the book is called 60 is a Good Start, and it leads to the 60-day dare, which the meaning of 60 is a good start. Well, I was 60 when I wrote it, but
Hmm.
also it takes 60 days to form a new habit, at least. It could take up to 8 months,
Mm,
but we know it's at least 60 days. They can look in the nerve cells in the brain and see habit formation in there. So this is helping people any age create habits 60 days at a time.
mm,
And so the framework is three pillars: body work, brain work, and world work. And body work is the physical. There's the big five under each of these that you choose something. So you're kind of designing your own 60-day dare, but within these parameters. Then brain work would be the mental, emotional, spiritual. And then world work would be your purpose and your relationships. So you're going to choose something and do it every day for 60 days.
wow.
It's the idea.
I love that. How did you come about to create that framework?
Well, I wrote the book
Hmm.
and then I rewrote the book after I got an editor and a publisher, and so we kind of took, probably two-thirds of what I'd written,
Mm,
kind of reorganized it. I wrote some more, and just through that whole process, which was 3 years. I mean, I decided to do it after I'd turned 60,
mm,
and then it was a 3-year process, and then the book just came out this January. But it was combining natural health
hmm.
with longevity. I've been fascinated with longevity. So, all the studies, not just the blue zones, but there's
Yeah.
studies, there's even some cancer studies on longevity
Mm,
with lifestyle habits. And they all kind of say the same thing. So these are longevity habits, but also the other key was a plan. Like
mm,
I could spit out all this information, but if there's not a plan to execute on it, to
yeah.
start to make a difference, you know, how to apply it, how to look, you see that moth flying around?
Yeah, I did see that.
That
That's
was
so fun.
crazy. That's kind of cool.
It's an ancestor visiting.
But so it's got the plan, and so we're in the middle of one right now. I think we're on day 37,
Awesome.
and kind of it's a beta test, but I mean anybody can be in it. But and yeah, it's going real well. We do weekly accountability Zoom calls because I think you really need accountability
Totally.
to change those habits.
Yeah. Are you doing it along with the community or are you just
Yeah.
leading
Oh
and
no, I'm doing it.
cool.
Absolutely.
Can you share with us what
Yeah,
your
what mine
habit
are,
is? Yeah.
I am doing 30 grams of protein every day before I eat anything else.
Okay.
So that's been great.
Mm,
I'm really loving having to do that. I'm doing two in body work. The other one is a deep breathing session every day, like a 10
mm.
minute. deep breathing. And then in brain work, I'm doing decluttering. So there's writing, which would be journaling, there's reading nonfiction material, uplifting of some sort, self-improvement of some sort. Then there's decluttering or detoxing your house, like going
Oh,
through getting all the stuff out of there and getting
yeah.
good, clean, plant-based, healthy stuff in. And but the on the decluttering, it's 15 minutes a day minimum.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes I set my timer, I go 15 minutes, I'm on to the next thing. Other
Yeah.
times it goes on for another hour or two. It just depends on the day. But oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have loved that. And it's such a
Cool.
mental thing to have clutter,
Totally.
and yeah, so that could it's a great habit. There's
Yeah.
meditating, prayer or affirmations, and then
hmm
there's also art making, creating
Oh,
something
cool.
for the purpose of de-stressing. Pretty much everything is for de-stressing.
Mm.
But yeah, so and every day I'm doing world work. I mean, I'm always working on, this and the program we're in, and then I'm always engaging with people. So that's one because I've got my husband here and my kids.
Yeah.
But some people don't, so they would have to make the effort to engage, with
Yeah.
like a
Like check in with
girlfriend or
somebody or
check in with somebody, not a text, but a phone call or go to coffee or,
mm,
something. So there's, like I said, there's the big five in each of the categories. So
very cool. Thank you for sharing.
yeah,
So the art that is more of the second
the brain
the
work.
brain work.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So
The
if somebody like was a painter and they sold their paintings and that was their work,
hmm
that would not be this. That would be more in world work, your
Okay.
purpose.
Okay.
This is just like I needlepoint. Like at the end of every day, it's kind of my reward, to
Yeah.
sit and chill and needlepoint, maybe watch
Cool.
something on TV. But there's a million things people can do. Somebody the other day was saying, "Oh yeah, she gets those adult
Oh
coloring books with
yeah.
the gel pens."
That can be super relaxing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. They say after 45 minutes of art making, your cortisol levels go down. So that's
Ooh.
stress
I
hormone.
love that fun
Yeah,
fact. I
yeah.
definitely practice that with my music and
Yeah, I bet you do.
yeah, I like the decluttering one too. I think at
Hmm.
least once a week that's
Yeah,
I'll try to reset my space. It
right,
helps a
right.
lot. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And in the world work one, I think that one's so interesting because you could probably write multiple books on finding your purpose.
Oh gosh, there are multiple books on finding your purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, in the big five of world work, the first one I call it dream. And so there again back to 60, there's 60 questions that if you don't know what your purpose is right now, and that's what a lot of women my age feel
Mm,
like, their
hmm
kids have grown and gone, they're empty nesters. Maybe they've come out of a long career that they're just tired of and they just need something different. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
a slight shift, you
Mm,
know. But these 60 questions, you just journal the answer to one every day. And they are questions that are really, I think, going to lead you to what your purpose could be now.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's like an uncovering.
Yes, absolutely. And then there's engage, like I was telling you about
Yeah.
engage with somebody, a person. And there's gather, which is to the spiritual side. That's a commonality in all these studies. They were part
Mm,
of a spiritual community
mm,
of some sort. So you could, go to church, or it could be a small group, or it could even be one-on-one, but for the purpose of talking about, spiritual things.
yeah.
And then help would be volunteering. A lot of people find their
Like giving
purpose in
back.
that. Hmm.
Yeah.
And then act would be if you do know your purpose, you're working on that for an hour a day. Some people might have a job but they wanted, this is what their real dream is. And so when they get home, they're going to work on it for an hour every day.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think really, I know I said this earlier, your book is meant for people at 60 or older, but I think all of this stuff would be applicable to anyone who's
It,
feeling
it really
a
is.
little lost.
It's just the basics for a good life, honestly, is what I think.
hmm
I'm the age I am when I wrote it, and I kind of am talking to women. I say second half of life. I mean, that somebody, it could be 40, could be 50, whatever.
Yeah.
And even male or female, it really doesn't matter because it applies to both.
Yeah. Do you have any men in your group or mostly?
I don't have any in that group that we have on this app. I have a Facebook group where I just created that initially as I was preparing the app, and some people moved over to the app. But I do know there's a few men in that Facebook group. There's,
Cool.
yeah.
We've talked a lot about health, which is, I don't know if it's my second or equal to music, but one of my favorite topics. And so I want to just switch gears real quick. And
Yeah.
I know when we were chatting to prep for this interview, you had said that, music isn't necessarily a direct thing that you do in your work, but it's still relevant in your life.
Yeah.
And so, one of the questions that I like to ask everybody is there a song or multiple songs that have changed your life or saved your life in some way?
Well, I thought so hard about that because that's a big question,
Totally.
And when I really came down to it, I have to say, when we talked, I talked about the Christian music,
Hmm.
being a big deal because I really got back into that about when I was 40.
Mm,
And so kind of that decade really was into that and just kind of so the music was a huge part of it.
yeah. It helps you to
But
connect.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, spiritually. But then I just thought more about it and I thought, really, I think I go back to my childhood. And the biggest, I think, initial influence on my life for a singer, and it was really just all of her music, was Carly Simon.
Oh, cool.
You know who she is,
You're
right?
so
Oh
very.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's her big
It's
hit,
the
one of her
right
big
thing
hits.
to do. But yeah, I knew every one of her songs. I knew all the words. I mean, she was a big deal. And then, otherwise, there were a couple of duets that kind of happened over the years. One was called Perhaps Love by John Denver and Placido Domingo.
Perhaps
Okay.
And then
love
you'll
like
have
the
to
rest of
pull it up and
us
listen to it some.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's kind of similar is called Home
Hmm.
by Michael Bublé and Blake Shelton.
Oh, cool.
Have you heard that one?
No, but
Well, both of these
yeah.
are these duets with these two people that they come from completely different
Hmm.
worlds of music, like John Denver, right?
Yeah.
He's
Country
folk,
music.
country,
Yeah.
rock, whatever, with Placido Domingo, an opera singer.
I haven't heard
I
that. I'm
mean,
definitely gonna look that up.
it's incredible. I'm probably gonna have to go listen to it. And then that other one, Home, with Michael Bublé and Blake Shelton. He's country. Michael Bublé's like,
Classic.
what do you
Like
call him? He's like Frank Sinatra.
I was thinking Frank Sinatra too.
Yeah.
I'd say classic
Yeah.
songwriter, I
And
guess.
then the other kind of music I love musicals like Les Miserables, that like Bring Him Home, that song.
Storytelling.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. So those are my big music comments I will make.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. I know the musical theater was something that I always got to go experience with my
Oh, yeah.
grandma. She loved it, and I feel like I got the bug from her.
Hmm.
And that was always, not always, but I have some significant memories of her like gifting me shows for my
Uh-huh.
birthday. And yeah, we got to go to London and see some shows out there one year. So yeah, I just love the performing aspect
Oh
of it. And their
yes.
voices are incredible. Like,
Yes, they really are. My kids love to tell the story of how we were driving down the highway one day and I got stopped. I was driving, I got stopped
uh-oh.
by the police for speeding. And he was like, "Well, what were you doing?" And I said, "We were listening to Les Miserables." They love to tell that story.
Did he let you off for that? Is he
I
a
think
fan?
I think I might have got a warning. Always tried to be real friendly.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. That's a good story. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Yes,
um,
thanks for having me. It's been fun.
yeah, it's been really, really cool to talk through all of the different aspects of, the journey of life. And I know that you have a sheet that people can go if they want to learn more about resources.
Yes,
Um,
yes. They can go to my website, which is my name, my full name, AllisonMcCuneDavis.com. slash links.
Okay.
If you go on there, there's links to everything, but one in particular is a guide, and it's a free PDF download. It's like 4 pages. But it's a guide to all the supplements and practices that I love and use to keep my immune system boosted. So that might be helpful to
Cool. And
somebody.
I'll have that linked below. So if you're listening, definitely just open that up and check it
Excellent.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great place to start. And
Yeah.
I loved your tip also about, getting a recommendation to a functional or alternative medicine
Hmm.
doctor,
Yeah.
just to learn more about yourself, right?
Absolutely. Hmm.
And have a baseline
Yes,
and especially if you're kind of sensing that something is
for
off.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure.
So awesome. Well, thank you again, Allison.
Thank you so much. This has really been fun, and you sound like you're going in the perfect direction. Keep it
Well,
up.
one day at a time. That's what I like to say.
Yep.
So, yeah, for all of our listeners out there, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We've got lots of practical tips. And if you would like more, let us know. Respond in the comments. Tell us what was helpful today. And if you think of somebody who could use some support in this area of their life, please share this episode with them. And we will be eternally grateful to be able to help more people by sharing this platform. So thank you again. And until next time, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. Bye. We're moving in close.